Our next guest is Kimberley Martin. Kimberley has been a national writer and team sports reporter in the NFL for over a decade. So tell us how you got started. How did you get started in the NFL?
By chance, actually. My boss at one of my old newspapers said, you need to pick what team you want to cover. You want to cover the Jets, you want to cover the Mets, or do you want to cover the now Brooklyn Nets? And I said, what the hell? Let me just cover the NFL. And I haven't left. That was about a decade ago. I haven't left. I've covered the NFL full time. Not something I ever anticipated. Mm-hmm. I was somebody that worked in finance. I never envisioned a sports writing career, but here we are.
And how did that transition happen for you? I mean, moving from finance straight into the NFL, were you fearful, nervous?
Yeah, I worked in finance, and I remember filling out my grad school application at my cubicle because I was like, this job is great because we're in the city, happy hours, that's wonderful. But from a creative perspective and from the perspective of feeling fulfilled, mm-hmm. I knew that a finance career was not going to be my ticket. So I applied to grad school, went to Syracuse for grad school, got my master's. And yeah, the whole journey has been full of fear. But I think, what do we do when we're afraid? We still push through it anyway. And the friends that knew me from finance can't believe that they can see me on Sundays on ESPN. But I think that's part of the beauty of not knowing where your journey is going to begin or end. You just see where it takes you.
Mm-hmm. What did you study in grad school?
So undergrad, I was a psychology and African American studies major at Wesleyan University. And then Syracuse, I was a magazine writer. So that was my major. I was going to come out and work for a magazine, and I never did any of that. I only worked for newspapers, and now I'm on TV. So.
Okay, so here's my question. You were born and raised in Brooklyn?
Yes, raised in Brooklyn.
All right. So were your parents, did they take you to the sports world? Like, were you taken to football games, basketball games? Did you have a diehard parent of any sport?
No, and I find it interesting. My parents, they're West Indian. They're from South America. So I felt like if I had been a boy, I definitely would have been gifted a glove, a bat. Me and my dad would have been out in the park and stuff. But because I was a girl, I don't think they thought of sports as like, this is what she's going to be into. But I remember following my dad everywhere. I remember watching the 86 World Series when the Mets won. I remember watching, I was a kid, I was like 5. But I remember watching it with him, not knowing what's happening. But my dad was a huge sports fan. And I was always, you can't tell now, but I was always a tomboy growing up. And I think that the love of sports, that's where it came from him. But never did my parents assume that I would get into this. Like my parents, like I said, they're West Indian, they're immigrants. They were like, why don't you do economics? Or why don't you study computers? Why don't you like something that'll make you some money?
Right.
And so I went, no thanks. And now my dad's no longer alive, but my mom, I think she gets a kick out of seeing me on TV, even though back then she was like, girl, what are you doing this journalism thing?
Yes. Okay, so I know that you're doing NFL now, but prior to, you also wrote for the MLB and NASCAR?
So I've kissed the bricks at the Indy Speedway, which is wild because I never thought I would actually kiss the floor, but that's just something you gotta do at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I used to cover baseball. I covered a lot of Yankees and Mets games. I was a backup baseball writer when I wrote for Newsday in New York. I did Knicks, I did Nets, but on a backup level. Like, if the regular person was out, I would fill in. So I was there when Derek Jeter hit his 3,000 hit. Like, I've covered Super Bowls. I've covered New York City marathons. I've covered all sorts of things. But football has been the passion the last decade or so.
That's awesome. Okay, so you have your own podcast called First Take, Her Take.
I do.
Let's talk about it.
I got my girls together talking stuff. It's phenomenal. Obviously, we all know the success of First Take with Stephen A. and Max Kellerman and Molly Quorum. This is our spin on it. It was originally an idea that as a brainstorming thing, they thought, well, could this be its own show? And then we decided, okay, maybe a podcast will work. So myself, Chanae Gumake, who played at Stanford in the WNBA, and Charlie Arnold, who is also a first take host when Molly's off. So the three of us come from very different backgrounds. But I think it's important, especially now, just having that sisterhood, trying to build that chemistry, just women coming from different avenues who have a passion for sports and want to talk about it and don't have to argue and shout over each other to get our point across.
Yes.
I think it's just a good space. And I'm thankful that ESPN has afforded us that opportunity to just try something new.
So I know you are enjoying your time with the ladies, but the industry in general is still predominantly male, right? And it's not a lot of people of color. So how have you been navigating that space?
You know, I think when I first started covering the Jets, I would walk into locker rooms. I tell the story to students that I talk to all the time. I would walk into the locker room with that Brooklyn stank face, I'm just here for business. I just want to blend in. Don't bother me. Don't ask me nothing. You know what I mean? I'm just here for the questions because I wanted, as a woman and as a Black woman, I wanted to fit in with the other white middle-aged guys. I didn't want to stand out. Mm-hmm. I didn't want the players to look at me different. I didn't want them to think yo, who is she? What is she doing here? You know, she looks mad young. Does she know anything? And don't get me wrong. I dealt with guys who didn't think I knew anything or sometimes they wouldn't see me as a real reporter, but then they just tell me stuff and I would just write my stories. But I think it's hard because you want to fit in. And then after a couple of years, I was like, that's the worst thing I could have done.
Yes.
Because I think if you just carry yourself in a way that lets people know, listen, I want to build relationships. I want to know more about you, but I am about the work. And I do want to stand out. Right? Because what makes me is the fact that I am the daughter of West Indian immigrants, that I do come from Brooklyn, that I had to work that really hard to get to this point, that I did work in finance, that sports isn't everything to me, even though it's a big part of me. And I think now the advice I give to students and people coming up is be you, because that's the best thing about you. The fact that you are different and nobody has the same interests and has the same voice and has the same perspective. So now coming to the NFL in times of Trump, in times of this racial reckoning that we're going through, social justice, my background, that has been the biggest thing that I can lean on when I go into locker rooms pre-COVID and talk to guys about their struggles. They see me and understand okay, she gets it.
Yeah.
So true. That's good. You know, it's funny you say that. I think about us growing up as little brown girls or just girls in general, when you think about always trying to fit in, right? You want to look like everyone else. You just want to be like everyone else. And your parents always tell you you will understand when you get older. You will, and just one day the light bulb comes on, you understand. So that was a great piece of advice to any girls that are listening to this.
Yeah. Yes. Do you?
Yes.
Don't try to fit in. That's the worst thing. You end up cutting off what makes you special when you do that.
So good.
Yeah, no, I'm glad that you are taking that approach now. And I know that it took time to get there because you think you with your parents and you go on to college and stuff, everybody is training you to fit a certain mode.
Yes.
And then you step into the media realm and you're in front of the camera, they're also forcing you to fit a certain mode too. So I'm glad that you're I'm just gonna own who I am. I'm a little brown woman and I'm gonna do what I need to do with my hair and my approach and how I talk and things like that and just be myself.
Exactly. The time to try to fit in and worry about who thinks this or what are they going to say, you waste a lot of years. I think as women, you can waste a lot of years trying to please other people or do things on other people's time frames. It's no, it's my time. And this is the path that I'm going to carve out. And I know you two can relate to that.
Absolutely.
That's a whole point of starting this is because we were always kind of in the shadows of our husband. You know, it was their NFL careers that obviously brought us to the NFL, but we had our own opinions and we had our own ways of sharing our life, which is different from what he sees. And so I just felt like it was so important for women to find a place and feel comfortable celebrating them and talking about what they're doing and how their journey was. Because Tia's journey is different than my journey and vice versa. So So yeah, we definitely get that and we appreciate that from a female perspective.
I love that. I love that. More women need to do that. Just step into their own spotlight on their own time.
Right.
Yes. So last question. So you have had a whirlwind of a career and you think about second lives in your career realm, et cetera. But what has your journey taught you about yourself?
What has it taught me? It's taught me that I don't really care what anybody thinks. And I kind of do what's best for me. Like, I'm very strategic about how I want to move through my career and my life. And I'm very proud of myself. I don't think we stop. I don't know if it's a woman thing. I don't know. But I just think maybe it's the pandemic, that having some downtime and really being able to think about, like, girl, look what you just did.
You're killing it. Yeah.
You know, I don't think we stop and give ourselves that pat on the back that we sometimes need. And the fact that through my career, the different jobs I've had, the opportunities that have come to me that I haven't asked for, they've just come. The Lord has blessed me. I'm very thankful that I haven't listened to other people, because my life, like I said, if I had listened to my parents, I'd be studying computers or maybe like being an econ major, when that wasn't my journey. So I'm glad that I just focus on what I want.
That's a good piece of advice too. Follow your own heart, your own true desires. That's good. Thanks so much for coming on. We appreciate you. And I know you're going to touch a lot of girls listening.
Yes, keep blazing these trails.
Thank you guys for even I don't know if the word is courage, or just the determination to do what you're doing right now and to invite me into your space. I love the sisterhood, we need to support each other and really encourage one another just on our individual paths, wherever that takes us. So I appreciate you guys inviting me into your space as well.
Yes, thank you.
I appreciate that. Welcome back to Halftime, sponsored by Bacardi. So tell us, what drink do we have this time?
Well, since we're in the Super Bowl, I decided to make a Florida-style old-fashioned with the Bacardi 8. So the difference between this and the Superior is the Bacardi 8 is actually aged under the Caribbean sun for 8 years.
Okay.
Wow.
Hence its 10. So here we go. So this is going to be with 2.5 ounces of the Bacardi 8, also known as the Bacardi Ocho.
2.5, huh?
2.5. Yeah.
I know. I'm scared.
Pass it right.
I'm scared of this.
That's all right. You'll do fine.
Okay.
Okay. You got to get that other 1/2 ounce in there. That's what makes it.
That's a little bit more.
That's a lot more than it is.
That's more, but you know, there's no such thing as too much alcohol.
So we do 3 dashes of Ango bitters.
Okay.
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 Take this. Take that.
What is this called again?
Fantastic. Ango bitters. It's very traditional bitters that are found in Manhattans, Bucurés, old fashions.
How much did you say?
3 dashes. Just get that sucker in there.
In here. 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
There you go.
And I like to call this like an oops, I didn't mean to do that. Like, oh crap, I didn't mean to do that.
Okay, that's
Okay.
cute.
Okay. What's this one?
That is gonna be simple syrup. It gives a little bit of sweetness.
Okay.
There you go. And then we're gonna take our bar spoons. And this is a homemade peach puree that we made. So you're gonna do 2 dashes or spoonfuls.
I like a little peach situation.
And to represent all your food additions that you have, you could use that as a topping on like a burger or something like that. So you can drink it and eat it.
Okay.
Okay. So 2 dashes. You got your little bar spoon right there.
Oh, I was waiting for you to give me.
You can have it if you want it.
1.
And then just spin and spin and spin.
Okay.
2.
You want to dilute a lot of the ice into the drink. That's what kind of gives it a little bit more of a flavor. It breaks down all the chemical compounds of the alcohol.
Yum.
So then we take our strainer and then we just try and strain as much of that puree as possible.
I'm excited to try this.
It's really good.
I love a little peach situation.
It smells good.
Thanks. And for you.
Thank you.
And then we're going to garnish it with a cherry.
You and your presentation. I love it.
A little flag.
I know. I'm going to need you to come to my house.
Same color straw.
I know, right?
Okay.
That smells good.
Yum.
A little flag, and then the butt straw.
So cute.
You know, when it's over, you're going to have to teach me how to
Oh yeah, and so here's the other option. If you don't want to have all this decor, the traditional way for an old fashioned is you take the slice and then you spritz it with the oil to be released on this side of the glass.
Oh,
There we go.
Awesome.
So that is our Buccaneers Peach Old Fashioned.
Cheers. Now let's get back to third quarter. Welcome back to the third quarter, and our last guest is Sophie Harlan. Sophie is the Director of Operations for the Rams. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me, you guys.
Absolutely. We're excited to have you on. We want to talk about all the amazing things you're doing. Let's start back. Let's rewind a little bit and talk about, I know you worked at Berkeley. You're the Director of Recruiting there. How did that come about?
Yeah, I was the Director of Recruiting Operations under Sonny Dykes, there for 3 seasons, and really loved my time in the Bay Area. I'm from the Bay Area, so to be able to go home and work at a university that is that close to home was just such an exciting thing to do. Super rare in football, but just an overall incredible experience. I had been at UCLA prior to that, so really understood the UC system, and just really had an amazing 3 years there. Starting off going 1-11, right? A lot of trials and tribulations there, and really built a program that we were super proud of and had really incredible student athletes.
That's awesome.
So were you also a student athlete?
I wasn't. I was a ballerina, which if
I love it.
Someone had told
That's
my
an
parents,
athlete.
yes. 6-foot tall ballerina, probably not a great idea. So, I wasn't, I did that through high school. And then I just went to UCLA as a regular student and found my passion working in the football office there, and had gone in as an undeclared, really had no clue what I wanted to do. And was given an opportunity to work in the football office. And a couple of weeks in, I was like, oh, this is it. I love this. And kind of have been hooked on football ever since.
That's awesome. Okay, so I know you were the liaison to the owner for the LA Rams. Talk about what you did there.
Yeah, so, the Kroenke family is an incredible family. They truly give us the ability to do the things we need to be successful. And I'm just so grateful to have the opportunity to work for such an incredible group of owners. And, really, they have so many different things going on that really I just help focus on things that are connected to the Rams, right? Whether it be when we were in the Super Bowl a few years ago, our game days, both home and on the road, or anything that pops up just for our team specifically. They have a really great group of people who work with them on the day-to-day for all of the things that they are involved in. And I just focus mainly just on the Rams, helping make sure that anything that has to do with our game days or our club really runs smoothly.
So, of course, you work in this industry that's predominantly male. How have you been navigating that space, right? How have you been getting in the good old boys club?
Yeah, I think I've been super lucky starting at UCLA with Coach Neuheisel, working with Coach Dykes, and then coming here to the Rams with, an ownership group and a leadership group that really don't care about that and really just want the best person for the role. And I've been extremely lucky. I know that that's not everyone's path, but I think the other piece is, I've just tried to stay on pace to outwork people, no matter if they're men or women, and to really just, ensure that I am a important piece of the puzzle for whatever group I'm with, right? And I think that that's been my biggest focus is to, not see my gender as a hindrance, but just to see it as, the same as everyone else and an opportunity just to work really hard and hopefully have as much success as anyone else in the roles that I've been in.
That's awesome. I want to talk to you about being the Director of Operations during COVID. Everything that you had to do. I think about us here and everything that we had to do and all the protocols that are in place here in Tampa. Talk about that, putting that together in LA.
Absolutely. So, obviously this is something that it hasn't affected just football, right? It's affected the entire world. So I think everyone's been dealing with it differently. And, I think the biggest thing, the reason that we had so much success in our club, and I really do think we had a lot of success. I think we can confidently say we didn't lose any games this season because of COVID. was because we collaborated, right? And we had incredible collaboration across the board. Started with our head athletic trainer and VP of sports performance, Reggie Scott, and down from there. And everyone had a piece to do with it, right? Whether it was our VP of PR, Artist Twyman, our video department and our IT departments and the people leading that. We had a woman named Cassandra Garcia who stepped up in an immense way. She helps with contracts, and she was literally the day-to-day COVID person, right? Who handled all of the scheduling for testing and making sure that we were compliant every day. Every single person in our organization stepped up. And in being new in my role and having a completely new team, I'm just so proud of the work that everyone did to make sure that first and foremost, everyone was safe, right? And obviously we wanted to play football games and win football games, and that's always the goal. But at the end of the day, I think we really provided an environment that everyone, whether they were a player, coach, staff member, came to work and felt safe. And we had to do that on the road. We had to do that in our own building. We had to do that at Sophie, which is our brand new, beautiful stadium. Every step of the way, we had to make sure that we could put our guys at ease and put our staff at ease to make sure that they could focus and keep the main thing, and go win football games. Yes.
Love it. So let's hop into the fourth quarter. And I want to talk to you a little bit about, we know that especially in the front office, there's not a lot of women within football, but Atoya and I talk all the time, and we're like, well, why didn't anybody think of this? Or why didn't anybody think of that? Right? Because we know that had a woman been in a different position, it would have gotten done. Right? So what are you doing to open up doors for more women to come behind you?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that the biggest thing is just being really honest with people, right? Being really honest about the different opportunities, and again, not ever caring if it's a female or a male in a position, and opening up those doors, but also being very honest, right? And understanding the different levels of commitment that it takes to be in a football department, right? And we have, we had a new woman join our staff when we built our staff this last summer, who was completely outside of sports, right? And I was very honest with her. Like, this could be very hard. You're either going to get in here and love it, and this is going to be it for you, or you're not, right? Because it is a challenge for everybody. Everyone who walks through our facility doors every day has committed to being the best for the Rams. And, that means a lot of sleepless nights and a lot of weekends away from your family, and, a lot of things that you normally do in the normal world that you can't do anymore, especially in a pandemic. Right. And so I think the biggest thing is just really helping embrace that talent and help moving it forward, but also being super honest about, the challenges that you'll see as you join in this business, right? Because you don't want to glamorize something or make it seem so sparkly and shiny, right? That people get there and then are like, whoa, this was not what I was expecting, right? You really want to ensure that these women are set up for success, and you want to be really honest about that.
Yes. Okay, so you're title director of operations. We know that has to do with training camp. We know that has to deal with travel, the field. What else does it entail?
Yeah, so we oversee our facility, like you mentioned, our training camp as well. We actually also help with all of our scouting operations, which right now, as you can imagine, are very different than they were a year ago. All of our scouts are virtual right now, staying home. They're, Combine was just canceled, right, or moved to a virtual platform. So that piece of it has been very strange for our ops team. It's been super different than it's ever been before. Our facility, we oversee, just a lot of our budgets, and we also will help be a big piece of when we do end up building a new practice facility for us, just making sure that all of that comes together really, really nicely.
That's awesome. So I know that your journey has just gotten started, right? But what have you learned about yourself thus far?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is just that, hard work really beats out skill set every day, and if you believe in yourself and you believe that you have the skills to do it, and you can be really creative and think outside the box, right? You can really go far. And I tell our team that all the time. We have, on our small little ops team, we have an array of different types of people from different backgrounds. And I tell them that every day. Listen, I know that everybody in this room is going to work extremely hard and be really creative and think outside the box. And we're going to come up with some really cool solutions to things like a global pandemic and how to put together a season in that. Right.
Yes.
And that to me really speaks volumes. You don't always have to be the smartest person in the room. I'm not always the smartest. You know, we have Coach Sean McVay for that, right? He's a football genius, right? But at the end of the day, I know that I'm going to outwork people and our ops team is going to outwork people. And it really allows us to, you know, make sure that all the things that need to get done to put on a football season are happening.
That's awesome. Okay, last but not least, I want to talk about this Rams stadium. I know you guys are hosting Super Bowl next year. I know that it's state of the art. And I also believe, isn't NFL Network there inside that stadium somewhere as well, or connected somehow? Let's talk about like this building and everything that it entails.
Absolutely. I mean, this vision that Mr. Kroenke built and put to life is just incredible. It was really amazing to get in there this year. You know, I've been fortunate enough to see it kind of as it's progressed, right? From when it was just a big 100-foot hole in the earth in Inglewood to what the $5 billion stadium that it is now, right? It's just unbelievable. Every level is a new, different type of suite and just these beautiful, different clubs. And I mean, you walk around it and you're just, oh my gosh, just constantly. I mean, it's amazing. And that's coming from someone who, you know, I've seen the floor plans. I've seen how it's, you know, the blueprints of it, right? On top of that, it's going to be, it's 298 acres. So it'll be an entire district. That has things like amazing restaurants, this beautiful public park, and there's a beautiful lake in the middle of it. You know, to your point, NFL Network is just next door. So you can see it from the west side. If you're on level 7 where our coaches are, right, and our media, you look right across the way and there's the NFL Network compound. It's going to be incredible when it all comes together, and it's already just so incredibly amazing. And I just can't wait for our fans to get them there because they are going to have their minds blown.
Yes.
I look forward to that.
Awesome. Absolutely. Because we will definitely be there.
Yes.
For Super Bowl 56.
Thank you so much for joining us, Sarah.
Absolutely.
You were amazing. We appreciate you coming on. Let everyone know, do you have a social media handle? Where can they follow you?
Oh, gosh, I'm the worst at social media.
That's okay. That's good too.
You can go follow the Rams. We put out incredible content. Our community team puts out really amazing content. Our community group is really, I mean, I know I'm biased, but is just unbelievable. And they do so much in the LA area. So go follow them and go follow our Rams, stuff, because my stuff is not worth following.
Well, thanks again, Sophie.
Yes, thanks for coming on. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Have a great time in Tampa.
Enjoy your trip.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you guys for joining us for our 3 episodes of Highlight Her.
And we'd like to give a special thank you to our sponsors, Bacardi, as well as our amazing mixologist, Mo, and Body Armor.
Also, thank you to Rare Tags for our branded merchandise. And a huge thank you to Mark Rowland, a.k.a. Vanilla Gorilla, for all the graphics that he's done for us.
And last but not least, we'd like to thank our production team, Ardent Flame Media Group, and Danielle, Jeanette, and Jamona of JOC PR. And we could not have done this without you guys. Thank you.
See you all next year in sunny California.